Hi, welcome to my channel, Dita's Hair Wellness. I always talk about scientific conditioning, giving you the information so that you can get the most out of your product and you can make better hair decisions. I always had a great head of hair, if I do say so myself. It never gave me a problem. I didn't have problems with breakage. I didn't have problems with um, length. My hair was long. My mom cared for it. And at that point, I was young and happy. As I was a young woman, I was young and happy with my hair. Even though I had did my research and watched others and helped others go through damaged hair and taught them techniques to help them get through to make them stronger and better at conditioning decisions. However, my hair came into a lot of trouble, especially when I started to get older as well as when my health changed. That mentioning the surgeries I had to go through. So I had to make my hair strong enough to get through all that. Sometimes we can't correct our damage, but we can stabilize our damage until our hair and body is better, ready to do better or healthier to do better. So what's important here is that the knowledge you learn here on this channel will help you take your hair through sickness, through illnesses that you're going to be suffering through life. So we've got to think of our hair being strong enough to live the lifestyle that we live. And if we can do that, then we've accomplished a very great hair chore, because not everyone can keep their hair through sickness. A lot of times we realize that we go through sickness and that we entered our illnesses with great hair, but did not come out with our hair. So this is why my program or my channel is here, is to help you make better hair decisions so that when you get into any type of physical issues, you're able to keep your hair protected. If you're not physically ill, then you of course want to keep your hair the best it can be, the healthiest it can be, so that if you do get ill, of course life always has something in our way that we don't expect, but your hair's got to be strong enough to get through it. So it's nice to have that information or that sense of hair wellness, to know your hair and to know what to do for it to protect it. I was happy to be able to have my hair knowledge when my hair was sick. I don't know if I would still have hair if it wasn't for my information and for my knowledge through the phenomenal hair clientele that I used to have. They were great, and the studies that we did found a lot of answers to damaged hair. And it helped us to decipher what was on the internet worth taking and what was off the internet that we didn't need, that was kind of off on the internet that we didn't need. So just helping you make better hair decisions is why this channel is here. I am looking forward to teaching you how to condition from the inside out. Um, Here we have the big question of the day. And the big question, I'm so glad to have a big question of the day. One moment, I think I lost my pages here. Try to stick to script as much as possible, so that way I can always go back and see if I can make the information clearer or more informative. The big question of the day is when two or more emails come in at asking the same question. And I've talked about this question before. I'm so glad that we're able to repeat it. I never mind repeating because it helps me study my basics, but it also helps someone who hasn't heard this before. Today's big question is wearing a nightcap, a stocking, a wrap, a cotton wrap, a silk wrap, a nylon wrap, all anything stocking, anything, I think I said stocking, anything you can think of that you can wrap your head in, terry cloth, towel, um, and to sleep in it, okay? They're asking, should we sleep in it? Well, we've had several questions. So one person says that she sleeps in one because she doesn't want her hair products on her skin. She has trouble with acne and she doesn't want any hair products on her skin. Another person does it for styling. They want to be able to get up in the morning and just put on their clothes and go. Another person does it for conditioning. She literally puts the conditioners on and then leaves the cap on and, of course, sleeps. Another one does it for breakage. Okay, I take the scientific approach. I have no opinion whatsoever as far as bad or good. I would have to say, what is scientific good for the hair? For instance, is the scalp in a good healthy wellness area? No. We'd have to say, putting a cap on at night, is it good for the scalp? And I like to have the scalp, and well, from what I read, it's healthier for the scalp to have airflow. It's not good for it to be moist too long. You don't have to condition 24 hours. So you don't have to have conditioners in your hair at night. You can very well you're supposed to scientific brush at night. So scientific brushing means that you put a little conditioner in the ends, and then of course you brush, and then put it in your braids or however you want to put it, your hair, if you want to hold it back, if you want to put it in a ponytail, not too tight of a ponytail. That's pretty much on you. That's not going to hurt your hair. I feel that when our hair isn't balanced in moisture and protein, when it's not protected from the sun, then it gets very brittle. And yes, you probably do see less breakage in the silk. But it's not going to stop breakage. If you are damaged from the sun and you have no moisture and you are very dehydrated, you're going to break whether you're in the silk cap or not. So I don't want you to feel as if, oh, this is going to stop breakage. I would prefer for you to think, I'm going to deep condition to stop breakage. Remember, conditioning from the inside out, not outside in. So that's the main thing here, is to understand that conditioning all night is just going to keep your scalp too moist. Some clients have told me that their scalp as well as the cap feels mildewish. And so you don't want that. You want your scalp to be nice and dry, not too dry, not too moist. So you want to strike a happy medium. So product in your hair is not necessary if you're conditioning properly during the day. As far as it being, it says here, oh, for styling, 2 or 3 times a week, sure. If you want to wake up and your hair is all in place because it's smashed, of course, you can tighten it and hold your style in place, and it's kind of frozen there. When you wake up in the morning, you can make a run, or you can go to school. That's 2 or 3 times a week. That's not going to hurt you. It's not that the cap is so damaging. It's that we just don't want to set up an environment that's too damp or not dry, or have enough air circulation to the scalp and the hair. The hair is a hard keratin protein. So it's nice, I think it's this way here. It's a nice hard keratin protein made more like a roof. So this keratin protein is hard to penetrate. You can't get through that unless you use deep heat conditioning. So you're just laying product on top just to lay in it at night. It's not really that effective. It might soften the cuticle and you feel like you've got a lot done, but as you know, that the dryness will return. So I don't want you to feel as if the cap cures dryness or it stops breakage. What stops breakage is your conditioning, and what helps the scalp is your massaging. So lightly massaging, softly massaging, but definitely massaging. And the scientific brushing is a form of massaging. So the bonnet caps, I think I've answered it pretty clearly. Let me know if I didn't. I definitely will go back. But we realize, yes, I see all the reasons why you're using it, and I do understand that beauty salons are recommending it. And on the internet, they have a lot of good remarks about the bonnet. Here again, I don't want you to be misillusioned or misled in the thinking that the cap is protecting you in some way. It's really not. It might be holding style in, but it's not helping any conditioning. It's just what I would consider a light conditioner. I would consider, because the product lays on top. And because your hair soaks in it all night, you might feel more conditioned. But if you're not putting water-loving molecules inside the hair shaft, you're going nowhere. You're still dehydrated. So maybe it's a little misleading to have the cap. Maybe we need to protect our hair in another way. as not just thinking that the cap is going to do it. Email question number 1, my hair does not gain length. Okay, here again, we need to get back to conditioning more on the ends and then looking into our deep conditioners. It is definitely a problem when your hair is not gaining length. There's a reason for that, and it's usually in your conditioning. So we can talk about that a little bit more if you tell me what other problems you're having about your hair. I'm great at analyzing damaged hair. I've done that for years. So sometimes when you can't figure your damaged hair out, send me the information through the emails, and I will try to get back with you and answer you the best of my knowledge of what your information you're giving me. I want you to also understand, it says here in my notes, that using your conditioner, deep conditioning, but also using your protein conditioning and your moisture mixed together and applying them on the ends more often, like maybe 2 or 3 times a day. Something's going on with those ends. Now, if you feel like you're not getting the growth from the scalp, then that's where we need to look at what's going on with your scalp and how we can pick up the scalp health. And usually products that are water soluble are good for your scalp. Brushing is great for your scalp. Softly massaging is good for your scalp if you can. Remember, we talked about the massager, just laying it on your chest if you can't massage your head or neck. Just laying there and just having the rhythm and breathing, and practice your breathing and get into a rhythm with the deep, slow breath and then an exhale, slow breath, and just be mindful of your breathing. It can definitely relax your eyes. It can relax your scalp. So if you're not gaining length, condition more. Deep conditioning, as well many conditioners on the ends. And we can talk about those ends and how they deteriorate. I might do that in hair facts. Okay, second email question, how do I know if my scalp has dandruff? I don't see, in my all the years, like 35 years of being in the salon, and I didn't see too much dandruff. What I saw was severe dry scalp. So dandruff, you can look that up on the internet. It looks more like cornmeal. It's in patches. But dryness is a scalp that might be sloughing off. For instance, if you use oils and the oils slough, the scalp sloughs off, the oils are there, so it makes big dry flakes. And so you think, oh, I've got dandruff because they're big and dry, but you really don't have dandruff. So before I would think that you have dandruff, not saying you don't, just saying that you probably could look that up on the internet and get a good picture and say, all right, not as it look. And having another opinion helps too. So I wouldn't assume dandruff. I would assume dry scalp. Here again, brushing softly. Okay, if you really have dandruff or dry scalp, the scalp is going to be tender. So brushing softly, but definitely brushing, because you want to help that scalp slough off. You want to help toughen up the scalp. You want to help have a nice pink glow to the scalp, so or a white glow to the scalp. So that will start your scalp to getting a lot healthier by just using a moisturizer. Try to not use oils right away, because you want to establish your own oils coming back before you go to putting more oil on there. One, oil attracts dirt, right? Microscopic dirt. But also, two, you don't want to interfere with your natural oil. So you want to condition with the moisturizer on your scalp. Give it a nice massage in the massager, just massage it with your fingers all in your scalp, the moisturizer. You might need a moisturizing shampoo as well. And then, of course, brush, and then use the relaxation of the massager. And hopefully you can stimulate blood flow to the scalp, and you should have, your scalp should clear up. If you have dandruff, we need to talk. Or you can always go to a dermatologist who can help you better. Now we have email 3. I have had cancer 2 years ago. My hair is just starting to thin now. All right, so 2 years ago she had cancer, and now her hair is thinning. Yes, there's a lot of vitamins distracted after cancer. I don't know what type of treatment you didn't mention. But if it's been 2 years, then obviously your hair and scalp is depleted. Deep conditioning, and I would start with the rebuilder, protein rebuilder, and then the moisturizer. And I would use the moisturizer during the day. You can usually stop thinning uh, if you can catch it soon enough. So start brushing, start conditioning from inside out. It's very important that you're just not laying stuff on top of the hair shaft. Remember, we talked about how tight that hair shaft is, and you can't get anything through this hair shaft. Okay, it's hard. You can penetrate maybe the first 5 layers because the product is minute or it's small enough to get through. But you need to be inside the hair shaft. So if you're looking at 10 to 17 layers of this in a rope-like manner, then you can see that conditioners are going to lay on top. They're not going to sink all the way in past the layers, many layers of the cuticle. So we need to get heat in there to help open up the cuticle, to get past those layers of cuticle, and then, of course, get inside and put some water-loving molecules, some rebuilder protein in there. So let's get going on that, because the faster you get that going, remember you need to brush, 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 brush. If your scalp is too tender, brush with a softer boar brush, but as long as you brush. And as soon as your scalp gets back to normal and feels comfortable again, then go to your stronger brushes. We often talk about the scientific brushing. Hair facts. We're at hair facts. I love hair facts because this is something you can put in your hair folder so that you can start stabilizing your damage. And you can start getting back to a normal head of hair and scalp and learning how your hair feels when it's conditioned. We have to remember in Hair Facts today, I want us to remember that our hair has many, many strands. There said it's like 1,000 strands per square inch. And if that's true, that's a lot of hair strands. And so when we look at our hair, you're looking at the overall picture, and you're saying, and you're making judgment. You're saying, okay, I should condition a day, and you're looking at every hair strand from an overall look. In other words, you're not looking at it from every hair strand. And every hair strand is doing something different. Some hair strands are dying, some hair strands are living, they just got started. So there's different things going on. Some are more affected by the sun than others. So if we can zero in and stop just making assumptions by the overall picture of how our hair looks, then we can zoom in on how to condition better. If you just look at your hair and say, oh yes, it's dull. Okay, well you can tell that it's dull, and the dullness might mean that it needs moisture. But how does the ends feel compared to the middle of it? How does the scalp feel? Does the scalp feel better than the middle of the hair shaft? Or does it feel better on the ends? You know, what goes on? How do you judge, what's going on with your hair? And we're going to talk more about that. But for right now, just understand that when you look at your hair, you also have to feel it. You look at it, that's one observation. Then you feel it, that's another observation. And then, of course, you have to say, you know what? I just feel like my hair is thinner on this side than it is on this side. And then you can always have someone say, you know what, I've looked at your scalp. You can ask your hairdresser, and she can tell you, if you've got breakage on one side than the other. So what I'm saying is look deeper into your hair. We often just look at the outside and assume, oh, it's not that dry. Well, that's because we have product on it. And, the overall top of the hair gets more product than underneath the hair. So the hair lays back in layers, right? So not every layer gets distributed product to. So we have to see what's going on with our hair and be very observant. Not just, that's why it's important for us to part our hair and to say, what is our ends doing? Because if your hair is short, then you're just looking at the ends and you're saying, oh, they're brittle, they're dry. My hair is not healthy because they look dry and brittle. Well, your hair could be healthy, but your ends could be shot. So we need to have a better picture of an overall understanding. And that way we could make better decisions on how to condition. So if we feel our hair and we see our ends are dull and we feel that they're brittle and we test them after we shampoo, let your hair shampoo after you shampoo and it's nice and squeaky, then just let it dry a little bit and see how it feels. Okay? And that way you'll start saying, you know what, my ends do feel better, or my new growth feels better. And then you can start making better judgment on how to condition. Whether or not you're just going to put more conditioner on the ends versus whether or not you're going to pick up on your heat cap. But a lot of times, here again, what we do is we just take an example of what we see in the mirror, and that's as far as our analyzing goes. Well, we need to say, I'm going to part my hair. When I brushed it yesterday, I found a lot of hair in my brush. And I've been up on my scientific brushing. So now I know that my hair might be trying to thin. Well, you can catch that early, and you can do more deep conditioning until the thinning stops. So you see how we are now analyzing a little bit better, because we're not just taking our hair for granted, and we're not just looking at our hair and saying, okay, it is this, it needs that, and we're just looking from the out of the, in the mirror area and saying this is what it needs. No, now we're parting it. We're seeing if what side is thinner than others. So maybe I would massage this shoulder a little bit more because my hair is thinning on this side. And I know that because I've gone through it. I've parted in 4 parts, and I can tell my parts are thinner than the other. Or you might need someone to help you with that by asking them, what breakage do you see? But when it comes to your hair and you're just making great, hair decisions about conditioning, and you're looking at the ends, which might look worse than the new growth, then there's a little bit better analyzing needs to take place in order to help you get past that. So if you can analyze your hair better, you can condition better, and your hair will show it. So next time you look at your hair, think about all the little aspects of it. Think about when you wash it, how does it feel? How does it feel when it's dry? How does it feel different from the ends? Do the ends feel like they're struggling so hard because they are so tangly, like Velcro, and the rest of the hair isn't? Or is all the hair tangly from the scalp out? And then we can start zero in on what to do and how many conditioners. So if you deep condition 3 times and it takes care of those ends, let's say you deep condition every week, 3 weeks in a row, and now your ends are not as tangly. Now your ends are not as breaking. Then we want to say, okay, now we need to condition a minimum of every 3 weeks. So you see how it's going to come together. You're going to be better at conditioning, and you're going to be happy that you are. I want to thank you for staying. I want to definitely thank you for pushing that like button. I really get to know what you need to know. And thank you for sending your emails. Again, I just can't express to you how happy I am about that. I appreciate that. I would like you to subscribe. It's free. And notification bell if you would like. If you have any questions, please send them to my email, ditahair911@gmail.com. I also am on Facebook, which is Dita Damaged Hair. I hope to see you there. And meanwhile, I hope that you've gotten some out of the day. I'm sorry. I'm getting tongue-tied. I hope you got something out of today's lessons, and I hope you're conditioning better. This is Dita. Thank you for coming. Thank you for staying. Now go have a good hair day. Thank you.